Good morning once again, everybody. So, we are going to talk about more feminism stuff, mostly because, good God, my own personal feed has been just absolutely chock full of people, of course, the same, what the hell would it be? Sympathy mining videos of people just constantly whining and bitching and crying about the horrific fucking prices and the fact that everything's doubled and costs a fortune now. Meanwhile, they're wearing Versace glasses. And one of the videos that did show up in the feed was a chick essentially going on talking about, how essentially, women with feminism, they've gotten quote unquote everything they wanted, at least in terms of what they thought they wanted, and they're still fucking miserable. So, what the hell is the deal? Women are whining and crying. The only answer for guys is, who cares? They're always whining and crying about something. But one thing, and it just reiterates constantly in my head every time I hear, especially, females turning against feminism after all these years, at least openly, temporarily, because the reality is a converted female will always go back to what they know. Can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Same thing. The issue is, all right, and you see this with every developed country, the more that you educate women, all right, because it always started with, we got to get girls into schools and we have to push education on them and we're going to educate the hell out of them. And in the end, what happens? They end up with purple hair, the pink hair, different shades of hair, all right, because they're all trying to be individuals, and in being individuals, it's the same thing. Like, at one point, having tattoos was different from everybody else. Having tattoos and, maybe being a biker was, it separated you from the rest of society. It made you different. The thing is, everybody's got tattoos now. Everybody, well, not everybody has a motorcycle, but a lot of people have motorcycles now. All right. A lot of people have fun colored hair. A lot of people have all of these things. The traditional avenues for people to differentiate themselves, I mean, literally everybody's doing it. What makes you different if you're just person number 8,008,303 who decided to choose a shade of oddly orange hair? All right. Nobody wants to be the redhead stepchild, but everybody wants to dye their hair. Anyway, anyway, one thing that's universal, all right, and this is very much so in the traditionalist worldview. One thing that's universal is the more that women are educated, the more miserable they become over time. The every single country that has highly educated women, okay, all of these women absolutely hate everything. All right. They hate how their lives turned out. They hate just every little facet that comprises their lifestyle and their living. All right. And so much of it's messaging. All right. Like, the oddity is, it almost seems as though, I'm sure you guys have heard about coffee badging and that stupid ass fucking trend where, yeah, we'll skip the brand name, but everybody had to have that specific tumbler. All right. And the reality is, people will legitimately, this is how insane Western life is and how crazy the fucking people are. People will drink coffee because it almost fits in to, because it does fit into the image that they want to put forward, not because they actually like this shit. Okay. So much of Western life is messaging and bullshit. And because people can no longer afford the normal messaging, it used to be designer handbags and designer glasses and fancy cars. Because most people can't afford to do that kind of messaging, they do the cheapest messaging possible, which is the social justice bullshit. All right. Cheapest messaging possibly available to try to differentiate themselves, even though, honest to God, what the fuck is the point anymore? There are, what, 8 billion people supposedly on the planet. I hate to tell you this, but you're not special. Ugh. Like, none of these, apologies, none of these women are, honest to God, none of them are special. All right. And it's a thing. They're all miserable. As female education proceeded, especially as it started getting shifted into what is traditionally the way that women would organize things, like the Marxist, Leninist, let's just take care of everyone view of the world. All right. Without, of course, the actual experience of what it takes to honestly make that happen. All right, because women are first in line to say, we should support everybody. We should, have systems in place that take care of everybody, but none of these women are willing to work the 60, 80 hours a week to make it happen. All right. What we have in the US, what we have in most of the West is designer welfare for corporations, because they create jobs that aren't necessarily, important. These jobs, most of them shouldn't have existed in the first place. But on one side of it, you've got the ego trip of managers, supervisors, mid management, lower to mid level management and higher, who just want an entire office full of people because it makes them feel special, and they love the ability to find the newest person or the lowest paid intern and be like, all right, fuck you, get me coffee, bitch, you're useless, you're worthless. That's essentially it. All right, it's power tripping on one side. On the other side, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before in one of the older recordings, but the majority of these jobs exist not because they're honestly needed, but not because they're honestly needed, but they're mostly a political tool. All right, you leverage, discounted taxes, you leverage or waived taxes, fees, whatever. Um, you use the bulk jobs, all right, in order to secure tax cuts to build in an area. And then you just don't pay taxes for at least local, maybe even state level production, whatever the hell you're up to, whatever the hell you're doing, and you still pay the federal, and then you just take whatever you saved in taxes, line your own pockets. Okay? When it comes to what these jobs serve, one, it ties people up because idle hands and idle minds are the devil's work and the devil's playground. But keeping people busy, and bringing jobs, at least in terms of a headline, is great for politicians. All right. So and the reality is, most of the weight of the welfare state is on people. The lower strata, when I say the lower strata, like the lower 90% of society, is fundamentally on the hook for all of the welfare programs, for all the DEI, for all the bullshit. All right. If you look at the male worldview, by default, it trends towards meritocratic institution. All right. You work your way up by working hard, by doing the extra hours, by being creative and inventive. All right. The rule is you give the laziest guy a job to do, and he will find a way to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible so he can continue to sit on his ass most of the day. Okay. Women, on the other hand, they trend towards structure. Everything's got to be a fucking meeting. All right. They can't just do something. All right. From the education system onwards, they revolve around that structuring. All right. It's why, not only, they might not necessarily be productive, but when you put them in administrative roles, they do tend to fit in with the excessive bureaucratic bullshit. All right. It's a lot easier for them. But nothing gets done. Okay. And honestly, like nothing getting done, that alone gets them fairly miserable. Just because of the fact, like, if you look at the politics, like nothing gets done. Yeah. Yeah. Not a single fucking thing worth a damn gets done. And they'll refuge, they'll cope by whining about the politics, and it's just like, red or blue, it doesn't matter who, they're all shit. They're all shit. Nothing that the people actually need or want really ever gets done. Okay? Uh, Call it a kleptocracy if you want. It doesn't particularly matter. But all of the indoctrination, all of the you need more education, more of this bullshit, more of people who get rich by creating unnecessary structures, telling people that they have to participate in these structures in order to get anywhere, and then as the net widens and the trap, all right, is not yet apparent, they loop them all in and they pull them up, and that's it. They end up as a fish on ice in your local supermarket. All right. Their entire lives, they're told that they need structure. They honestly believe it too. Like, it's a thing. All of the years of essentially girl power bullshit. All right. We're not going to, the idea that they're not going to, worship merit, that merit isn't the only thing that matters. And it's just like, listen. If you want shit to get done, get the fuck out of the way. Okay? The people who are most capable will rise, assuming the environment hasn't been, toxified and polluted. But what do you think? But what about all of the oppression that women face every day? How much of that oppression did you bring on yourselves with your bullshit? Because this is the thing. Like, you can talk about oppression all day long, but the majority of women don't know what it's like to work 80 hours a fucking week. The majority of women don't know what it means. They don't actually know what it's like to literally sacrifice damn near every hour of your day to not themselves. All right? Most women can't go over an hour, all right, in terms of like actually, making any kind of legitimate sacrifice. All right. The reason why the pay gap, the pay gap's bullshit. It's been bullshit since Kennedy. No, no, it still exists. Women, especially in the corporate roles, are making more money than male counterparts for the same damn positions, and they're still not happy. They make more than men, they do less than men, they're overall less productive for each hour than men, and they're still complaining. Still complaining. All the years of feminism, all of the rights, all of the added rights, all of the special rights and privileges that they've gotten for themselves, and they're still fucking miserable. Still fucking miserable. Feminism, especially with the sexual revolution, women legitimately, their entire lives revolve around outside validation. They need to constantly be reinforced with external validation. Even when they are married or in a relationship, God help you boys if you marry these slores, but even if they are in a relationship, all right, you would think that some guy being dumb enough to put a fucking ring on it would be all the validation logically that you would fucking need. But women don't function on logic, they function on emotion, and it explains a lot of why they are the way they are. They have to constantly get drip fed attention and validation. If they don't get it, they implode. They implode, okay? And the implosion will continue until the right pipe comes along, okay? And this is a fundamental issue. Women have all the rights in the world, but you see, they're educated, they have much more money now, honestly. A lot of relationships between male and female are going the way of the girlfriend works or the wife works, and the husband maybe he does part time or maybe he just stays at home and handles all the house chores because most guys can handle the house chores without having a complete meltdown every time they have to push a button. Okay. You gotta love how this all fucking happened. We're not happy. Shocker. Fucking shocker. You literally got it all. And still not happy. We need to have political change. Good luck waiting for that one. I'm sure if you keep, fucking throwing out paperwork and bullshit, that something will get picked up and things will totally fucking change just because you want them to. Oh, where the hell am I even going with this at this point? They can't maintain because of the constant need for validation. Essentially, men are in the position where not only do you have to continue doing your job as a man, which is to work 40, 60, 80 hours plus a week. I've done it. Most guys have done 80 hours a week, at least at some point in their lives. They've done it. Okay. Because they need the constant validation, you have your own actual job that keeps the roof over your heads. And you have to be essentially a full time jester. All right. Women have to be consistently entertained because if they are not consistently entertained, they will end up stumbling across somebody who will consistently entertain them. Generally, and again, it is what it is. Women will complain that, oh my God, he just spends all his time working and never with me, and da 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 da. They will make that complaint, and then they will go out and screw a dude who works part time or not at all. And generally, the line that you get is, he's there for me. He understands me. He makes time for me. Hoochie, he didn't, his time was fucking worthless. His time was fucking worthless. There is not a value to that dude's time. But they end up doing that shit. They end up stepping out, and it is what it is. But then they will, they will blow up what would otherwise be stable relationships because they need the validation. They need the validation. They need to feel a certain way, and they will chase that until it bankrupts them or destroys everything around them. Modern day women have $100,000 plus student debts for jobs that were daycare jobs, adult daycare fields from the fucking beginning. Jobs that not only didn't need to exist, shouldn't have existed, but jobs that the ones that did exist are vanishing away, all right, as the need for profitability increases. All right. Nobody like you cannot put like an HR lady who is hell bent on DEI initiatives. You cannot put that chick into an organization without every single fucking person instantly going on the defensive. Instantly. Because the guys know, all right, you run into a fucking issue, you're done. And the girls know that instantly they can create issues and it's done. It's over. They get to push a guy out of a job. They get to essentially get handed whatever they want. It's a thing. Women don't want to work. Even after all the messaging internally, women do not want to work 40, 60, 80 hours a week. They don't want to have to sacrifice. They don't want to have to do anything. And most importantly, they don't want to be held accountable. Everybody wants to sit in the captain's chair. Nobody wants to take to deal with the shit show, the fiasco, if they make a bad call. All right. Like, how many companies, how many corporations have jumped onto the DEI bandwagon, that have jumped onto rampant liberalism? And you see what rampant liberalism has done. All right. It is literally the entirety of the West is a lick, suck, and convention. And with all of this, still not happy. Still not happy. There are tons of dudes who can't get laid who aren't participating in the lick, suck, and convention, but women will never be happy. They'll never be happy. Honestly, the best thing that could happen to women is for them to essentially disregard their entire education, write it off entirely, and try to put the pieces back together and try to go back to what they should be. But again, you still have that issue. Can't turn a hoe into a housewife. You cannot undo the damage that liberalism has done to women. All right? And the hive mind has done to women. You can't undo that level of damage when it comes to I mean you can barely even women don't want to exist in empirical truth because empirical truth and reality impresses accountability for consequences. Okay, like the amount of females, like one in particular that comes to mind. Good God, literally swallowed the liberal bullshit. All right, and this actually ties into um, it's almost like Luciferian to a certain extent, at least occultic in general. But for instance, if oh God, I don't even know if I can honestly talk about this on YouTube, but if a girl who has never, all right, so let's say college chick who has never ever really gone out of bounds and had a wild sexual encounter, or more importantly, an aggressive slash arguably abusive sexual encounter, has one in college, okay? The top level, the outward level that they will put out there is that, it was a horrible fucking experience, but the same females who do that, who have that horrible experience, also are turned on by it. It's something primal. All right, they get turned on by that shit. All right, ties into why women go for douchebags and assholes over the good guys, quote unquote. All right, because the douchebags and assholes will absolutely smack them around and do whatever the hell they want to do. And the reality is women, even though they refuse to admit it openly, a lot of females get turned on by that shit. All right, at the very least, it gives them some drama, but a lot of females are turned on by that shit, and they're too ashamed to admit it. Okay, now the female that I'm thinking of had one of those abusive encounters. It was a treeway, and at face value, she says she wasn't exactly a fan of it, but but she was, and you can tell that she was based on the string of never-ending sexual encounters that have followed afterwards. Now you could say, no, that's just a result of the damage and the trauma. Sure, sure, you can make that assumption until you see the kind of guys that she's been with ever since that event. Abusive, shitty, douchebags, quote unquote, assholes, problem people, and she's been all fucked up in the head for a long time. I don't know if honestly, I don't know if it goes back to that event in particular, but something like that will split. And again, this ties into psychotherapy, hypnotism, hypnotherapy kind of stuff because it triggers the split. You know, the shame of actually enjoying a rough experience like that will fuck most women up in the head. Okay, because they don't want to admit it. They feel ashamed of it. At least, majority of them feel a certain amount of shame of it. And essentially, it causes the same kind of mental split as if you were trying to create multiple personalities. Okay. Now, ever since then, not only has this chick acted essentially as a nut dumpster to quite quite a lot of people, but she's also never been more miserable. Never been more miserable. Like the amount of shit that this girl that I'm thinking of needs to do. All right, just basic life maintenance, you know, is massive. Is massive, and she does none of it. All right. Now, there's the excuse of, well, I mean, she's pretty much on her own, except she really isn't, because she does have one orbiter at the very least who is kind of, just stuck around. But it's a thing. It's a thing. You can live whatever kind of fucked up life you want in the West, but just by the sheer volume of psychotropic drugs that she has to take, you're not going to be happy. And the thing is, once you open the door to any kind of corruption and deviancy, like that kind of sexual corruption, once you open up the gate, even just a little bit, like it's not like you can, just crack the door open and take a peek and that's it. No, no. Once you get a taste of degeneracy, you get a taste for degeneracy. You crack the door open just a little bit, and then it slowly opens wider and wider until you're a part of what's on the other side of it. Okay? And this is the slippery slope that people have fucking warned about for a long fucking time, but nobody ever fucking heeds the warning. The slippery slope. Women, every single time a nice idea comes along, they instantly jump in. All right. They start cracking the door open a little bit, and then all of a sudden, the slippery slope takes over, and their entire lives become degenerate shit shows. And they really only find enjoyment in further degeneracy. They can't go back to, the same old boring life. They can't go back to, Little House on the Prairie. All right. They have to, the only way that they can get any kind of dopamine hit is to engage in the same and often further corrupted kinks. All right. It's like this with everything with women. All right. They can never be happy, even when they have everything. All right. Like you imagine Oh, what would be a perfect example? Um, Actually, yeah, that kind of would be. That kind of shows the progression. Grand Theft Auto 5, the character Michael, and dealing with his wife and his wife's, I forget what the hell he was, but fucking yoga instructor or some shit. That is legitimately like a female can have a stable relationship, have all the money in the world, and she will get so goddamn bored that she will do everything possible to escape that and to go find whatever excitement that she possibly can, but they never want to give up the fucking money. That's the thing, like women don't, they, and it's tied to the merit, like you're not putting in the work to, pay for a mansion and make sure that the kids have all the shit they need. Women in most cases are just along for the ride, and they think being along for the ride entitles them to a goddamn thing in this world, and it doesn't. It doesn't. All right, like you essentially have two choices. You can either latch on to a dude and then rise with him, or you can, try to do the you can try to ride the carousel and hopefully maybe find one dude who might let you rise with him. But the reality is, any girl who rides the carousel, eh, you're just another hole. And a lot of women don't like to hear that, but you gave yourselves away for free. You have no value. All right. And then they try to go, to the good guys, especially. They try to go to the good guys who do their 40, 60, 80, who've been, rising and developing and trying to build themselves with a absolutely destroyed, nasty, slimy fucking box. And they will try to, put on the fucking act as if, God help us with the born again Christian types, but they'll try to put on the act that they weren't, you know, absolute outrageous heroes. But all it takes is for the dude to find out one thing, and that's over. All right, you cannot engage, and this is true with all of liberalism. Okay, you cannot engage in degenerate behavior and walk it back. Once you once you open just slightly the door to degeneracy, you become degenerate forever. All right? Because the slippery slope will win, and that becomes a part of you. And all of your decisions are modified by it. Your views of the world are modified by it. And really, the issue that we have in the West is you have the meritocratic and you have the decent, all right, who didn't open the door to degeneracy, who were fine with a lame, boring life, all right, who are trying like hell to stop the liberal degeneracy from spreading any further than it already has. All right, because it started with, the women's right to vote, and it has so far come to we're going to transition your children without your knowledge. Like that's you want to talk about a slippery fucking slope. There's a slippery fucking slope. All right, decent it started with a reasonable idea, and people entertained it and people let it roll. And look at what the consequences have been. There's a reason why human civilization, and honestly, this is what brings down every single civilization. It's liberalism, it's liberal values. You, specifically, liberal values have no values, they're always in flux. All right, because as the degeneracy grows, more and more things slip from the taboo to the mainstream. All right. I remember when I was a kid, one of the when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, one of the taboos was ANAL. Hopefully that'll slip past the censors. And I remember like that was the ultimate fucking taboo, and that was dirty and that was filthy. Now it's like, I mean, shit, as of oh god, as of 4 to 6 years ago at least, the saying was, if you're not eating A, you're not in the game. And it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck happened? What in the fuck happened? You know? Liberal values, liberal ideas, women being educated. All right, like at face value, it's like, well, you wouldn't want to be against women's education. What are you? Terrible person, you bad. And it's just like, honestly, you want to know what the truth is? Women were happier when they were completely uneducated than they are now. You have so many females with master's degrees and PhDs, and they just hate everything. They hate everything because nobody ever actually wants to deal with their problems. They just want to whine and complain about them. They don't want to make actual progress. They don't want to change. They don't want to grow and evolve as a human being. They want to stay stuck in the never developed past high school level of being. All right. Like your average person. All right. Your average person will just, for the most part, they will just end up getting a job, and it will be a rotation of jobs. All right. Where hopefully they're making more money every year. It'll be a rotation of jobs, and they will slowly get older, and the years will go by, and as the years go by, they seem to speed up. And then eventually they're old, and it's just like, all right, time to collect Social Security, whatever the hell the equivalent is around the world, and that's it. That's that's most people. That's how most people's lives work. All right? Like people cannot the majority of people can't even fucking sit still in a room with nothing going on. They can't honestly, like they've become so alien to themselves that they can't even just sit back and exist with themselves for half hour to an hour. You put somebody into a, just like an empty waiting room. All right, just nothing going on, TV's not on, nothing. Just to sit there and exist. They can't handle that. Most people cannot handle it. They cannot handle any level of any kind of boredom anymore. They're absolutely zonked out of their minds with fucking social media, with their phones, with fucking everything. And of all people, honestly, I gotta say it as it is, there's really nothing you can do when it comes to women. Honestly, truth be told. I mean, you want like another perfect example. Women make housework sound like the worst thing in the world. Is it really that fucking hard to cook, clean, and do laundry? You literally have, and do dishes. You literally have machines to automate most of that shit for you. But filling up a dishwasher rack and throwing in detergent and pushing a button is too much fucking work. Men need to do their fair share of the chores in the house. Oh, really? Well, maybe you could do your fair share of fucking welding upside down. All right. Maybe you can do your fair share of, oh, fuck, I don't know, running industrial equipment when other people are, literally You know, people's lives are in your fucking hands. If you fuck up, if your finger twitches at the wrong time, you could kill somebody. All right? Maybe women should share in the not house chores. Again, I'll say it. I've seen over 20 years. I've seen two women total. Once a decade, I see a woman on the back of a garbage truck. Okay, really, women need to stop listening to the hive mind, and they have to stop doing what other women think that they should want to do. Okay, but for the majority of women in the West, there's no saving them. There's no undo button. There's no going back. They are forever tainted by the liberal degeneracy. All right. And tons of guys out there will say, "No, I found one. She literally ripped from Terrence Pop. She loves me." And it's just like, famous last words. The chances of you finding a female that hasn't been tainted, all right, is incredibly fucking low. And even if you think you found one, good God, just give it a little bit. Just give it a little bit. Sometimes it takes years, but you'll find out. You will find out. They all go through their hoe phase. Of course, we mean the garden tool, but they all do a lot of gardening, um, a lot of seed sowing, wink and a nod. They all go through that, and then they all try to cover it up and hide it, and try to put on the mask of what they used to be. But every single interaction with degenerate behavior leaves a scar. And eventually, these people are so, overrun with scar tissue as a result of that, whether it's spiritual, emotional, physical. Well, I mean, in some cases, it legitimately is physical. The majority of these fucking people, there is no path to redemption. There is nothing that they can do because the way of being has been permanently altered by what they've allowed themselves to be a part of. So what do you do? Honestly, the with how fucked up things have gotten in this country, and you've seen that over the years, especially as women have become more educated, not only has overall life satisfaction declined, but outcomes in everything have declined. Absolutely everything. Work satisfaction imploded, satisfaction and outcomes imploded. Literally everything since women have been, mass educated. As the education level for women has increased, it has only spread more misery. So I'll go with the traditional worldview. If you want to honestly improve things, stop educating women. Basic education, and that's it. And that's it. Reading, writing, arithmetic, and then get in the kitchen, bitch. All right. And the thing is, women will, hive-mindedly say, "That's bullshit. You're a misogynist. Don't even start throwing words around because I know what you girls want. I know what you like, and I know you fucking love your misogynists. I know you fucking love and adore all of the type of guys that you say you hate. All right? I know it too fucking well. I know it too fucking well. So, roll back education for women right off the current, you know, right off pretty much all of the modern females. And honestly, I'm gonna have to side with the idea of Chronic and a few others in the red pill community. even the black pill community, but black pill is extra depressing. I'm gonna have to roll with the idea that honestly, the only thing that you can do for Western women, especially Western white women, the only thing that you can really do for them is find an East Asian country with decent looking chicks, import all of them, and just dump all the white women there. Like, take all the Filipinas and bring them into the country, and for every Filipina you bring in, send back a white chick. All right, and just do that. Just do that. Honestly, like if the WEF and the elite really wanted to push migration and immigration, just do that. Just do that. All right, and you will overwhelmingly get a lot more fucking support. Bring in foreign women who are actually hopefully stable and not liberalized. All right. And you'll find relative support there. All right. Also, one thing that I should mention before I wrap this up in closing, um, a while back, I used to work with a guy named Drew. All right. Drew, of course, was a black dude, decent black dude. All right. But of course, he did have like 6, 8 kids, like quite a lot of kids. And I remember fucking asking him about this shit, and the way he put it is as long as you keep them, knocked up, barefoot, and pregnant, they're not going out there and fucking shit up or screwing other dudes. And it's just like, oh shit, okay. All right, that makes sense because feminism, really did a lot of damage to the black communities in the U.S. first because black women swallowed that shit hook, line, and fucking sinker. All right, they've become the most devout and the most damaged in terms of side effects of feminism. And the only way, all right, because like he wasn't like ghetto trash like you might expect from a dude with just cranking out kids. He legitimately was decent. He was hardworking. But the only way that he knew to keep a bitch in line was to keep her barefoot and pregnant. And honestly, white dudes, and God knows nobody can afford kids these days, but honestly, that really might be the only thing that fucking keeps a female in line anymore, is to keep them barefoot and pregnant consistently. And of course, women will have, any females who ever stumble across this video who make it this far will, of course, spout the same shit, terrible person, horrible person. But the reality is that dude is still with that chick and probably has 14 kids by now, but it's a thing. It's a thing. Kids keep women occupied, so if you keep cranking them out, they're definitely going to be a little too occupied to think about doing anything else. And honestly, that might be the only fucking solution when it comes to potentially liberalized, feminized, feminism laced, ideologically damaged women. But even still, the vast majority of human stock in terms of females is so poor that it's not even worth considering, because the amount of headaches, the amount of bullshit, the amount of just I no guy wants to be subjected to being forced to deal with a woman's bullshit at that level for that long with that kind of toxicity. No, no. So anyway, only solution: take white women, send them overseas, trade for in exchange for chicks from all over the world, and maybe just maybe America can go back to being a more traditional country and decent, decent. We can go back to laws that make sense. We can go back to hopefully a lot less regulation on, normal everyday people. Maybe we can go back to a world that actually makes sense. But will it happen? No, the fuck it won't. All right, that would take an absolute fucking miracle to pull off, and white women would be screaming and bitching the whole way through. And honestly, and the thing is, it's not just white women; it's black women, it's brown women in the states, right? Who've gotten too fucking used to having everything fucking handed to them. Honestly, the outside of that, the best thing that you can do with American white women is reopen salt mines and put them to work in salt mines Soviet style. All right, that's about the best that you can do. Just put them to hard labor, consistent hard labor, where if they get a cut or something, it's gonna burn like hell when the salt gets to it. That's about all you can do with American women, because they'll never, ever, ever be fucking happy, no matter all of the shit that they've gotten. All of the shit that they've gotten. Thanks to feminism. And they're all fucking miserable with some other dude's kid. Or kids. And they're all lining up to collect fucking welfare because they don't want to have to fucking work 80 hours a week to make sure all the bills are paid. And they're all always looking for fucking Captain Save a Ho to bail them out of their shit fucking life choices. Stay away from degeneracy. Stay away from that dark, nasty shit. And keep yourself sane. Also, this is a thing. I still would personally recommend it. Going to a different country might be the better option. All right, a lot of people have been. The passport bros trend has kind of died out. There's less and less videos coming out, with white women whining and complaining that men are leaving this country to go to other ones. What does she have that I don't have? Closed legs. Anyway, um, even though the trend has largely died off, at least in terms of messaging and media, it's still going on. It's still going on. More and more guys are saving up and leaving the country. And honestly, assuming that you are not too weighed down by shit in the States or in the Western world in general, going to a not Western country would at the very least be beneficial for you, at least in terms of atmosphere and consumption. Instead of eating the poison shit, you eat the good shit. At the very least, your standard of living increases. Most likely. And it's a thing. You're probably going to find better success in the dating market, in the dating world, by going overseas. It's not worth it to waste your time with American females. It's just not. It's just not. Anyway, I'll end it here. This has gone on for quite a bit. Oh my, it has really gone on for quite a bit. All right. If you're interested in personal or business consulting, stop by. Or if your local government is absolutely fucking retarded and needs somebody to come in and unfuck them if they're willing to pay, by all means, stop by spadesconsulting.com without the dash. We are still running the discount all the way until August 31st at 11:59 p.m. should be the cutoff. Anyway, if you're interested in the old writings, check out the Substack linked below. And if you like and appreciate the video, like, favorite, sub, share, do all the things, ring the bell, ding the bell, tickle the bell, do all things to your heart's content to the bell. Leave a comment. I do read them. And I think that covers it. Subscribe if you haven't. And also, as a side note, in the comments, if there's something, a topic you want me to talk about, mention it, and I will probably cover it. All right. And I might actually do research. You know, it's the thing. I don't do too much research with these. I really should, but honestly, I'm too time crunched to constantly stay on top of everything and stay in depth on everything. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.